The global gathering for educators and institutions is here. Anthology Together is where inspiration, connection, networking, and EdTech insight and innovation intersect into the premier event destination for the global education community. Registration is open. Go to anthologytogether.com. 3 higher ed authors, 100 plus college and university presidents, dozens of actionable insights for academic leaders. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, is now available on Amazon. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio back with you again in another episode as we fast approach now. I think we're getting close to 650 episodes, 300,000 downloads. We thought we'd hit 300,000 downloads, never. So this is a welcome surprise that we're actually approaching 300,000 listens. You continue to honor us with your ears and your time, and we will promise to keep bringing innovators to the microphone. And I know I have an innovator with me today. In fact, I've said before on this podcast that there are just some people that we schedule, Alvin and I. They can't do it, and then we reschedule. And then I can't do it, and then we reschedule. And then they can't do it, and then I can't do it. And months go by, and finally we get to the moment. It's like this great building of nervous anticipation finally to get a guest on this podcast. I'm going to bring him in right now. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He is Fredrik von Huynh. He is co-founder and CEO of Absolute Internship. Fredrik, what's going on?
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show, Joe. And I'm very happy we could do this finally.
Me too. We've been chasing each other, but we finally caught up to each other. What time? First of all, where are you and what time is it?
I'm based in Barcelona right now. I came back, actually. I was in the US on your side of the world. Actually, yesterday, I flew back from New York City. I was in DC for a week for business, but now I'm in Barcelona, Spain, and it's 7 p.m. here.
You look pretty fresh for 7 p.m.
Amazing.
I don't know what you do to get rid of that jet lag, but you've done it, whatever it is. Take a minute. I want you to tell us all about Absolute Internship.
Absolute Internship. So I was a student back in 2007 in Shanghai. This was all before Booking.com, Airbnb, Facebook even. And I had 3 classmates who were looking actually, they were interns. I met some interns there. One was interning for the Beijing Olympics, another one for Heineken, another one for a project management firm. The year after, I was a student in Japan, and there I had 3 classmates, and they were looking for summer internships. And like I said, it was not like you could go online and apply, which is pretty simple today if you would like to really get an internship. I told these classmates that were from the US that I could help them. So I hooked them up with these internships in China. But they didn't have such a good time as I had. I was a student there for a semester. And I realized that was due to visa issues and that it took them so long to find accommodation and they couldn't really find a community of friends. Fast forward, I graduated, living in Thailand now, where I was having an eBay shop, making a whooping $500 per month. And, one Friday evening, I was watching Sopranos and, I got this entrepreneurial inspiration from it. And I was like, I'm going to Google this summer internships because I got a message from one of these guys that were doing this internship in Shanghai. And this company popped up in the US that was selling and organizing New York internship programs for $12,000 for 8 weeks. And they had 400 students each year. So I made a math and I was like, oh my God, this is like a huge company, but you don't need help in the US, especially for you US student. Like you need help like in China or Hong Kong, So that's where the idea from Absolute Internship was founded.
I like that you got your inspiration from The Sopranos. That's amazing. That's an amazing part of the story. Also, you named. I like as you're talking. First of all, you live in Barcelona. You were a student in Japan. You were in Shanghai, and you just roll off these amazing places as if it's not a big deal. That's very impressive, right? So you've got this world view on what's going on in higher education, both from a student perspective, but also from a geographical perspective, interacting with people of all, I'm sure, of all kinds across the world. These common problems, finding an internship, visas, I mean, these are issues that affect all students no matter what country they're attending, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Joe. And I think it stemmed back from when I was young. Like my family, like immigrant family growing up in Sweden, didn't have the funds to travel internationally, watching like travel programs to get excited to travel whenever we were able to afford it in the future. Just kept dreaming. And then when I was in business school, I remember when I was a freshman, I wanted that international exposure. One of the things that I did was I signed up as one of these, whatever you want to call it, program coordinators for exchange and international students that came on campus. So I was able to make friends from all around the world, and there I was able to like get the perspective of how it was like for students in their home country. So I guess it started there.
How do you break into the industry, right? Higher ed, even internationally, it's old. You know, higher ed's an industry that's been around for a long time. It's not like AI that it's fairly new, right? Higher ed's been around for hundreds of years. How do you break into this? You get a startup? Do you raise money? Do you, how did you make it happen?
So I think, Joe, first of all, I think you need to be interested and curious, because it's like you're saying, higher ed, it's a traditional industry. You need to have like a huge like passion, and like you need to be keen like to work on this like day in and day out.
That's a fact.
I think for me, we didn't raise any capital. Like we started with $2,000. I didn't even own a laptop. It was me and my co-founder. We had one laptop, and I think after 3 or 4 months, we're able to like invest in a computer. But we had the opportunity to raise funds multiple times. We chose to keep it private for now, and we've been doing it since we were founded. So. Yeah, I think passion, interest, and curiosity. I think that's the short answer.
How does this work? So are you offering the service to the student, or do you partner with universities to allow those pathways to internships internationally? Give me like the user experience. How do you interact with the person that's, is the internship something that you're creating and you're matching it to the student, but the university's involved, or is it all student driven?
So, Joe, when we started Absolute Internship, I didn't even know you could partner with the university. So for many years, we're just like, all right, let's get the best SEO possible. If someone was looking for an internship in Hong Kong or in London, we want to be there in the first page. And that's how we got students, until one day we got an email in the general inquiry box that, hey, from a university in the US, I wanted to send 20 students. And we're like, oh my God, we can have 20 students just from one university? So to answer your question, yes, we do both. So students can go on our website, they can find us online, they can apply, and we do the matching process. We have a team of program managers that work one-on-one with the students to ensure that the student get the best quality match possible in the city that he or she is applying for. But we also partner with universities and educational institutions that want to create a custom program, or they want to send a group of students, a cohort to a city, or they want to incorporate our online internship program into the curriculum. So we like to cater it to each university, as universities are all very different.
Excellent.
When you go and you execute this, and you look at this, right? If you're working with a student, it has to be easy. This is a very complicated, complex thing when you're looking, anytime you're going out of your country, there's just a lot of regulations and rules and visas and paperwork and time. I oversee international admissions here at Lindenwood University. We have a bunch of students that have applied to our university from Nepal, but to get a visa, it's like 300 days. It's like, how long is it, you know what I mean? So there's these times, and each country has this time of processing. How do you, now you're matching these up for online. students, right? So can you eliminate some of those processes, obviously, for doing it online? And then do you do ground internships too? Do both? Is there one more popular than the other these days?
We do both, Joe. So since we were founded, we only did in-ground until 2020 when we launched our remote or online internship program, if you want. And I would say in-ground is still the most popular program, but our online internship program is growing very steady. And yes, I mean, with the online internship program, it removes the visa issue. I mean, it completely like removes all the barriers. With in-ground, I would say a lot of students still need a visa to do an internship. It depends, of course, where they want to go, but we do offer a lot of locations where many passports do not need a visa. So I think whenever a student want to go abroad and do an internship, I think it's important to not only look at the cost factor, but you're right, look at the visa. Like, do I want to invest that time to work on securing a visa or not? Because you're right, it takes some time and a lot of effort from you.
Well, and once you get a student an internship opportunity, keeping them in that internship opportunity for the length of the opportunity would be a very important part of this. And a lot of that doesn't have to do with the opportunity itself. It has to do with how I feel in the country that I am in. Am I able to grasp the language, or do I feel like I belong? Do I feel like I don't belong? And can I get groceries and services if I need them? Do you provide a lay of the landscape in the countries that you're working in?
We do, Joe. So having on the ground staff from us, from Absolute Internship, really helps. Really having all the students live together and having our local staff being there with them, showing them where to do groceries, how to use the public transportation, literally where the closest ATM or pharmacies, it really helps. And having weekly check-ins with the students, which we do, having conversations with all the students, I think it's very helpful, because for a lot of these students, it's the first time being abroad. So having someone to talk to and being in a community with other students who are in the same situation, I think it's very helpful.
Their premier EdTech event is right around the corner.
Epic.
Anthology Together is the destination for visionaries, educators, and learners ready to unleash the power of education technology. EdUp will be on site for the thought-provoking keynotes, peer-driven discussions, and unparalleled networking opportunities. We guarantee you will leave inspired and connected. You don't want to miss it. Book your tickets to Nashville for AT23, July 17th to July 20th. Register today at anthologytogether.com. You know that the world of higher education is experiencing evolutions and revolutions. You want to be part of the progress. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, with insights from more than 100 college and university presidents, will show you how. Get your copy of Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, now on Amazon right away. We think you're going to love it. It's
amazing.
And you're really doing student retention in a way, right? Because it's not good for the student or the university for the student not to finish this internship. So you're working to keep them there and keep them in it.
I've never thought of it that way, Joe, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the business of student retention. It's no good for anybody if they don't make it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, your interest is in keeping them there and convincing them to stay and finish.
I'm just taking it for granted that they're going to complete their internship,
Yeah, you'd think, but I bet all students don't, right?
No, you're right. There's a small amount you cannot, and also there are some students that get terminated from their internships because they can't complete their task. Or no, I'm not going to sit there and lie that all students that join our program are perfect. It's not true. There's a little minority, a handful of students that do get terminated from their placements.
That is an important distinction. Fredrik, we talk a lot in the United States about return on investment of a college degree. And one of the things that you cannot plan for is the human part of that. If you're going to get a college degree and you have an opportunity for an internship, one that might even hire you on when you're done and pay you great money, and all of a sudden you have this ROI. Well, if you don't show up for the internship, you get fired. your ROI on your college degree is a whole lot less, right? So there's this human component of professionalism that you're training and cultural competence and cultural awareness and human interaction, right? I mean, that's an important part of this is the cultural component.
100%, 100%. And I mean, I tell all our students all the time, like showing up is like 98% of the game, so to speak. Like just showing up is great, and showing up early is even better.
You ever heard what's the saying? When you're on time, you're late, and when you're early, you're on time.
Yeah, exactly. Right? My mom always said that. So.
Yeah. And I'm looking at your website, absoluteinternship.com. You've got, I don't know, there must be 3, 6, 9, 27 to 30 different industries that you are working with or around for internship placement. That's a lot of industries. How do you keep that all straight? What's the size of your team to do something like this?
So we have over, we're almost 40 people now that works with us all around the world. When it comes to the industries, I think our program managers, we developed over the years a very streamlined process when it comes to building a community of host companies in each city and being able to curate internships that really match majors and minors that students have. And I think, once you have done it over a decade, you fine tune it, so to speak, and it gets better and better. So I think having ongoing conversations as well with supervisors, mentors at each host company gets us feedback that helps us fine tune our internships as well.
And you're even doing internships for high school students. I'm looking on your website now. You have an high school internship program. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. We started that last year, our high school internship program, and because we started to get a lot of inquiries actually from parents and from students themselves that wanted to do something over the summer. So I said to my co-founder and our team that we should launch a high school internship program. Why not? So where students could choose a track, whether that's business or social science, or if that's a STEM field, for example, just for them to get a foundation internship during their time over the summer before they go to college, before they go to university. And I think that's an important part. Like employers around the world, they're getting more and more strict on who they bring onto the team, and they're looking actually for people that can bring on skills directly from day one. And I think these students that are going to do this foundation internship already in high school they're gonna have a big competitive edge.
Amazing.
Do you think that getting an internship in high school before college, especially if you have a senior, that it dissuades kids from going to college? Or do you think it helps them figure out what they want to do before they go to college? Are you seeing, because in the US, and you probably know this, there's a big question on whether a college degree has its value anymore, and should people go to college? Do you see that swaying, or do you see a general interest from students across the world to get their education and get a degree?
I've been following that debate. I still think that doing a high school internship is gonna really increase the curiosity. It's gonna really help the student to figure out what he or she wants to do in the future, and also figure out what he or she wants to study, at college, because it's such a big investment, especially in the US. And university and college it's important from an educational standpoint, but I think, at least speaking for myself, I think that the theory and what I got from the books was great, but I think how I grew as a person, I think, was even greater. So I think I still recommend all the students, whether you're in the US or Nepal or in Hong Kong, to go to university, because the way you grow as a person, I think it's going to help you. It's going to shape you to become a better human being, in all ways.
100%.
We agree, Fredrik, we agree. I want to have you talk a little bit about, because I'm looking, by the way, let me just go through this real fast. The destinations.
Yeah.
Barcelona, Beijing, Hong Kong, Lisbon, London, Madrid, Paris, Seoul, Shanghai, Singapore, Stockholm, and Tokyo. I mean, just a list of horrible cities, right, to visit. No, I mean, these are like world-class economically booming cities across the world. How do you decide what cities go on the list?
I think there needs to be a general interest from students and universities and faculties. I think that we have to start from there. And then number two, safety for students.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, how easy it is to navigate the city as a student. Also for only English speakers, how would that be? These are some of the most important. And then, of course, the quality of the internships. What type of companies could be sourced here? What type of quality internships could we get for the students? And then visa is another factor.
Yep.
Looking at our student base, okay, do students with US passport, do they need a visa or not? What are the internship laws here? So I think those are some of the most important factors that we look at.
How does your student, those that you're working with, for your student body that you're working with, you have a primary country, pulling from China or US or India, where are the students coming from primarily?
The top three countries are the UK, US, and I would say Mexico. And then and then fourthly, we get a lot of students from Europe. So
do you work with the governments? Are the governments of these countries interested in, because in the US now there's there's an interest in trades, in skills, in apprenticeships and internships and all different ways to get interested in learning, but not necessarily have to commit right away to a full degree. Do you see the governments yet contacting you saying, Fredrik, how do we do this with more students?
We've worked with governments in the past, being commissioned by various governments around the world to source internship placements for them. We haven't seen a huge increase lately. I think it's been steady, the demand, but definitely that's something we've been doing. We'll continue to do.
How's business overall?
Business is very good. Business is very good. We're growing. We've been growing since day one. So adding new people, growing revenue-wise, and the student body as well, and the partners that we're getting. So I just came back from a conference in the US, NAFSA, which is the biggest international education conference in the world, which we attend each year, and more business to come. So I think sometimes we have to say no to business because we want to maintain the quality of the internship that we provide, which is sad, and that we have to say no, but I think it's good.
Yeah, you can grow to grow, or you can grow with purpose, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's a big thing. And there's a lot of folks. We actually, I wrote a book with a co-author of mine called Commencement, the Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education. And the person who wrote the foreword, his name is Francisco Marmolejo, and he is the president of the Qatar Foundation. And Education City in Qatar has, or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it, has 9 universities there: Georgetown, Carnegie Mellon, and so on. I can see Middle East in the future of Absolute Internship, because there's just a ton of students interested in those Middle Eastern countries right now.
Absolutely, Joe. I've been to Qatar twice last year, and I went to the Education City. It's beautiful,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's very clean. Everything is high end and extremely safe. So I definitely see Qatar and the Middle East being at the forefront of education, and they have the financial power to lead it. So no doubt I think also with Absolute in the future, we might have a location somewhere there.
Love that. What's the future outlook for the organization, Absolute Internship? Fredrik, give us the 5-year plan. Double the amount of cities, triple the amount of cities, bring internships to every country in the world. I'm making stuff up, but you get the point.
Yeah, no, I think we want to grow. We want to keep growing our online internship program. And I think we also want to add more locations. I think having an African location would be very exciting. Something in the Middle East would be extremely exciting as well. And like you said earlier, like growing organically with purpose, I think it's very important for myself and Aurélie, our second co-founder. I always like to say that, we're doing this, like if we really wanted to make money, like we would have sold the company like years ago, so right. We really love what we do. And it sounds like a cliche, but you know, like I really love my job, so we'll keep going, we'll keep fighting.
Nailed it.
I love that, right? Like that's why we all work in and around higher education, because we like the consequence. And we could see a student complete an internship in a foreign country and they give you a testimonial and say that it was life-changing. You can't work in too many industries where you're literally getting people saying you're changing their life.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't imagine like selling socks or like,
Right.
I don't know, iPhone chargers, you know.
Exactly right. And that is it becomes almost like an addiction, that feeling to help people and know that you help change their life. So I appreciate what you're doing, Fredrik. I do want to ask you our two final questions to end the episode. And number one isn't really a question, but I want you to just soapbox for me. Anything you want to say about Absolute Internship that you haven't said, anything going on, literally tell us anything you want to say about your team, anything. And then tell us what you see for the future of higher education.
So I think well, I don't want this to become a commercial, but if anyone is interested to curate internships for the degree or integrate it into the curriculum, whether that's online or in-ground internships internationally, we're happy to help. Feel free to reach out to myself via LinkedIn or email at your own convenience. When it comes to the future of international education, I think it looks promising. I think borders are being, you know, removed. I think people are gonna move even more. I think after COVID now, more and more students want to travel even more to study and intern. But at the same time, I think COVID gave us this beautiful thing called online learning and online internships, and actually getting a stamp of approval, if you want to say that, like being like that it's okay to study and intern online. And I think it helped a lot, like a big group of students that are not comfortable to be in a classroom or travel and being around people that they don't know, that, you know, actually excel of studying and interning or working at home or in front of the computer. And I think that's good, like giving this group of students power. And I think that's a big development that I think we're going to see a lot more moving forward.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, this gentleman I have with me, born in Sweden, went to Japan, Shanghai, lives in Barcelona. I don't think you can get a better world view on what's happening in higher education than you can with him. And he was just in the U.S., so he's really getting all parts of it, Fredrik. That's such an advantage if you're going to be placing students in internships across the world, to know all the different types of cultures. That's what a great advantage, and I'm sure you and your co-founder study those areas well so that you know what students are getting into. So I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode about internships with, here he is, Fredrik von Huynh. He is CEO and co-founder of Absolute Internship, and you have just EdUp'd. Now, what can you expect at AT23? That's Anthology Together 2023. Well, expect to look into the future, expand your network, and explore solutions with experts. You're going to hear from industry thought leaders. You're going to connect with countless opportunities and people representing different institutions across the globe. You might even get to test out some new tech and help drive future Anthology technology. That's right, Anthology Together. Registration is open at anthologytogether.com. It's time to
Level up.
The beginning of a new era in higher education begins with you. Order your copy of Commencement, The Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education by Kate Colbert, Dr. Joseph Lustio, with contributions by Elvin Freitas. It's higher education's must-read book of 2022. Discover how you can seize the moment to change higher education forever. Commencement, The Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education, now available on Amazon. For bulk orders, contact Kate, Joe, or Elvin